This goalkeeper is 40 years old and plays in Portugal's second division. Nobody outside Cape Verde knew who Vozinha was before the 2026 World Cup. Then he faced Spain in his country's first ever World Cup match.
Vozinha stayed at home and he's going to pay the price. No! It comes off the crossbar. The follow-up is saved. The Torres save. Vozinha. Options right of Vozinha. Oh, it's going to come into the middle and Vozinha was right in the right place.
Spain had 27 shots. They couldn't score. Vozinha kept a clean sheet and was named Player of the Match. A few weeks later, he was facing Argentina in the knockout stage. In just one tournament, a goalkeeper from a country of only 500,000 people became one of the biggest underdog stories of the World Cup. But that's not even the craziest part. His journey to the World Cup is unbelievable. Before we talk about Vozinha, we need to talk about Cape Verde, because their World Cup story is almost as unbelievable as his. Cape Verde isn't a football powerhouse. In fact, many football fans didn't even know the country existed before this tournament. It's a small island nation off the west coast of Africa with a population of just over 500,000 people. To put that into perspective, there are football stadiums around the world that can hold nearly 20% of the country's entire population, and yet somehow they qualified for their very first FIFA World Cup. Nobody expected them to do much once they got there. Most predictions had them finishing bottom of their group. They were simply happy to be making history. But Cape Verde didn't come to the World Cup just to participate. They came to compete. Standing between the posts was a man who had spent his entire career away from football's spotlight. Vozinha isn't a Champions League winner. He doesn't play for Barcelona, Manchester City, or Bayern Munich. At the age of 40, he was playing his club football in Portugal's second division. He has spent his career traveling across different countries and leagues, representing clubs in Angola, Cyprus, Slovakia, Moldova, and Portugal. He's been Cape Verde's goalkeeper for more than a decade, making over 80 appearances for his country and representing them at multiple Africa Cup of Nations tournaments. Long before the world knew his name, Cape Verde already did. But international recognition? That was something he'd never really experienced until June 2026. Cape Verde's first ever World Cup match couldn't have been any more difficult. Spain, the reigning European champions and one of the favourites to win the entire tournament. For most people watching, the only question wasn't whether Spain would win, it was by how many. What happened next shocked the football world. Spain completely dominated possession and finished the game with 27 shots. Wave after wave of attack kept coming, and every single time there was one man standing in their way: Vozinha. He made save after save against some of Europe's best players. Spain simply couldn't find a way past him. When the final whistle blew, the scoreboard read 0-0. Cape Verde had just taken a point from one of the strongest teams in world football in their very first World Cup match, and their 40-year-old goalkeeper had been named Player of the Match.
Congratulations, what a match, a clean sheet against Spain, your first ever World Cup match, 7 saves for you. We've just seen you were crying on the pitch there. How do you sum up your emotions?
I work all my life for this moment, for this dream. A lot of generation in the past was dreaming with this. They didn't achieve. Many of ex-football players from national team, and now the dream come true. All of us, we are happy because we work a lot to be here. We deserve to be here today. A great game against Spain because it's one of the best national.
Football fans all around the world immediately started asking the same question. Who is this guy? Suddenly, Vozinha's story was everywhere. The goalkeeper from a tiny island nation had become one of the faces of the tournament's opening week. His social media following exploded overnight. Football pages started posting his saves. Fans who had never heard of Cape Verde were now cheering for them. And Cape Verde weren't finished yet. They followed their performance against Spain by drawing with Uruguay and Saudi Arabia, proving that the Spanish result wasn't a fluke. This wasn't just a feel-good underdog story anymore. Cape Verde had earned everyone's respect. Eventually, Cape Verde reached the round of 32 where they faced one of football's biggest giants, Argentina, the favourites once again, and once again, Vozinha delivered. Cape Verde's World Cup journey would come to an end, but they left the tournament with their heads held high. They had pushed some of the biggest nations in football, they had introduced themselves to millions of fans around the world, and most importantly, they had given us one of the best underdog stories of the entire tournament. Sometimes football isn't just about winning trophies. Sometimes it's about giving players and nations a moment they'll remember for the rest of their lives.